गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम्। ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं चर्षणीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम्। ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवीव चक्षुराततम्। ॐ ह्लीं ह्रीं ज्योतिर्ब्राह्माय नमः। And everybody say Hare Rama Krishna 3 times. Om Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna. Okay. So let's see. Where are we? In the ninth lot is over, or ninth lot is over. So we are in the 10th lot. 10th lot in the first 6 houses. Okay. Santanam Darshan, page 223, chapter 24. कर्मेशे लग्नगे जातो विद्वान् ख्यातो धनी कविः बाल्ये रोगी सुखी पश्चात् धनवृद्धिर्दिने दिने. कर्मेशे लग्नगे जातः. If the 10th lord is in Lagna, a person born like that, Vidwan means learned, scholar. Khyataha means famous, well known. Dhani means rich. Kavihi means a poet. Balye rogi means in childhood having diseases, sick in childhood. Sukhi paschat, happy later on. Dhanavruddhi, growth of money, dine dine, every day money keeps growing. Okay, let us pass each of them. If the 10th lord is in Lagna, basically is it a good result or a bad result in general? It's a quadrant lord, 10th lord in Lagna, so Lagna is blessed, so it is a very good result. Karmeshe Lagna ke jata hai Vidwan. Why is he scholar? Why is he a scholar? Why should such a person be a scholar? Why should that be a scholar?
Aspecting fourth house of learning.
Aspecting fourth house, who is aspecting?
Sorry.
Yeah, he is aspecting by 3/4 aspects, but right, scholarship is from 5th house. Okay, so from the 5th house of scholarship, an Uptaya Lord, 6th Lord, is in the 9th house basically. An Uptaya Lord who represents the growing of the scholarship, he is in the 9th house of protecting. So he protects the scholarship. So he makes the person, he increases the scholarship of the person. And also 10th house is the 6th house from 5th house. So that's not just an Uptaya of growth, but it is also the house of fighting, quarrels, etc. So the 10th house can also show putting the scholarship to use by arguing with people, by debating with people, by discussing knowledge, by discussing scholarship. So from that point of view, 10th house is it's basically the house of obstacles, house of solving obstacles from the 5th house. So it is actually the house of actually putting scholarship to use. So that lord is in a trine from the 5th house, so he is a scholar. But here the exact meaning would be not just a scholar like in so many other results, but a scholar who puts the knowledge to use in the society. Khyataha, and that is why he is famous. Khyataha means famous. Of course, fame is seen from the 5th house as well as 10th house. Here 10th lord, he is in the Lagna itself. So, and Lagna itself is another secondary house for fame. 5th Lagna and 10th house. So he can be quite well known. Dhani, why is he wealthy? Dhani means well-to-do, prosperous. Why is he well-to-do? Why is he well-to-do?
Yes. No,
Right.
that's what I thought.
Right. So,
The opposite, right?
so see, the thing is, even though the second house is considered the house of money, second house is indeed the house of money, but the thing is, the three Arthatrikonas, second, sixth and ninth, they all have to do with the second house. The sixth house is the Purapunya with respect to the second house. Similarly, ninth house is the Bhagya, the protection to the second house, to your wealth. So the thing is, if somebody has a strong 10th lord, if the 10th lord, let us say, in a particular chart is strong, even if the second lord is not very strong, because 10th lord's job is to protect the resources of the person. I mean, if you are supposed to do big things in the world, in the society, without having enough resources, you will not be able to do it. So from that point of view, a strong 10th lord will basically mean that any weakness in the second house is compensated by him. He is also working for second house, just as the second lord is working for the second house. So from that point of view, 10th lord, who protects the wealth of the person, being in the Lagna, being in the very nature of the person, it shows, it doesn't necessarily mean a Bill Gates or somebody who is very rich, who has a big bank balance, but for all the work that he needs to do, he will have enough money. He is wealthy from the point of view of money needed for his work, and he's somebody famous for his work, and for all his work for which he is famous, he has enough resources, whether it's money or something else, all the resources needed are there. So that kind of wealthy person we are talking about here, not the standard wealthy person that we talked about in other cases. And also the thing is, from the second house, as Lagna, this planet is in the 12th house of giving up. So the thing is, this person may actually use the wealth also. And of course, because the planet itself is 10th lord, the purpose of 10th is not to accumulate wealth, but to accumulate wealth and then put it to use and do some good work. Accumulate resources, accumulate following, put it to use. Everything basically putting it to use and getting your job done, action basically, that is 10th house. So because that is the law, that is the planet, and also he is in the 12th house from second house, this person may actually spend his money. He is not just accumulating money, but the thing is, he has enough resources to spend and get things done, get his job done. His focus is to get his job done. Balye rogi, sukhi paschat. Pardon me? Oh, poet, Kavihi. He is a poet. Well, why is he a poet? How do you see I mean, in general, let me say one thing. Basically, 10th is the work that you do. And Lagna is your basic fame and basic personality. So the thing is, 10th lord being in Lagna, what it really means is somebody whose very personality is imbibed with his work. He basically personifies his work. In other words, he lives and breathes his work basically. He is a career-oriented person. Now the thing is, one explanation, I won't say this is the only explanation, one explanation is, in the old days, basically, people would learn and then a lot of people would basically be poets. Poetry, being a poet in the court of a king is really a very famous career, is a very successful career. And also, compared to other jobs, suppose there is a minister, he goes to work, he sees whatever cases that the king is looking at, he will give his advice, he comes home, the job is done basically. It's a very hands-off kind of job. Many jobs are hands-off jobs. Suppose you are a carpenter, you do your carpentry, when you come home you are not thinking, how should I cut that wood? But the thing is, if you are a poet basically, it is basically part of your nature. So, poets are basically an example, this is just an example of somebody who's breathing his work, who basically lives his work all the time. So if you are a poet, it's not like, okay, now I am in a court, so I can say poetry. It's not like that. If you are an old-fashioned, old-time poet, wherever you are, basically poetry will come out of your mouth. So you can interpret it that way. So the thing is, you can generalize and say it's not just about being a poet, but also somebody who lives and breathes his work, somebody whose personality, when you see that person basically, that work that he does, he wears it on his face, he wears it on his self basically. That is the thing. That is
IT guy also.
for me.
IT.
Yeah, possibly.
Who can think of this?
Right.
I was looking at the fifth house because
Right.
he's involved with a lot of
What is the house of poetry actually? Why fifth house? Poetry is not just being about emotional. It is basically creativity. You are creating something. So what is the seed of creativity in the chart? The third house. So skills like poetry, also painting, etc. are more from the third house. Of course, 10th house also, because that is your basic work. But third house is the important work. So what do you say? I mean, why does 10th Lord in Lagna potentially make one a poet? Why does it give creative skills? Yeah? Well, the thing is, forget that he is 8th Lord from 3rd house, but the thing is, he is having Agala on the 3rd house. The 10th Lord, he is having Agala on the 10th house on the 3rd house. If you look at which houses have Agala from this planet, the 10th Lord, who shows the career of the person, has an Agala on the 3rd house. So the thing is, there may be some creative aspect in his career. The next one is Balye Rogi. He may be sick in the young age, but in his childhood, but Sukhi Paschal. But later on he is very comfortable. Now why? In general, comfortable in general in life we can understand, because a quadrant Lord basically is in Lagna. Lagna is basic to your vitality, how healthy you are, how well you are. So a quadrant Lord being in Lagna obviously means Lagna is strong. At least it's not weakening the Lagna. So from that point of view, Sukhi Paschat makes sense, being happy in general in life. But why is there a possibility of sickness in childhood?
Because of second house, 9th Lord in 12th.
For me?
Second house.
Yeah. From the second house, which is an important house for seeing the Balarishkas and other childhood problems, he is what? From the second house, what is?
9th Lord of protection.
9th Lord of protection is in the 12th house of loss. So there may be some loss of protection in the childhood.
Yeah, the family also.
Pardon?
The child
May possible. However, the next one is now, the same thing can be said about money, but the next one is Dhanavruddhir Dine Dine. His money keeps growing every day. Why? Okay. From the 11th house of gains, profits. He is in 3rd house. Okay, yeah, okay. So there is a, okay, that is good. But I mean, don't take it literally. It doesn't mean every day he gets a few dollars or something. No. What it means is, basically, throughout life, he is very gainful. He keeps gaining. Basically, whatever he wants keeps happening in general. Basically, if you take the 11th house as Lagna, you are on the right line. 11th house as Lagna, he is not only in the 3rd house and Upsaya, but he is the 12th Lord in the 3rd house. So there is a Viprita Yoga with respect to the 11th house. The 12th Lord is in the 3rd house from the 11th house of gains. So as far as the gains, as far as final fulfillment of his desires is concerned, the final step is concerned always, there is a Viprita Yoga with respect to that. So even if there are some obstacles and he is stuck, things are not happening, finally the end is always, it may come suddenly, but it will be always positive for the person. So,
Why is it? I about it, but I
Yeah.
thought it would be negative actually, because 12th house who wants to pull back
Yeah.
the gains and put in the...
But the thing is, 3rd, 6th, 8th and 12th. If the last of these, if the 3rd lord is in 6th or 6th lord is in 8th or 8th lord is in 3rd, these things are basically Viparit Rajoga. So from that point of view, a lord of a bad house is in a bad house.
Okay.
In other words, third house is the house of initiative, right? So the 12th lord is in the 3rd house. So which means the lord whose job is to give loss is in initiative. So there is no need to even take some big initiative with respect to that. Similarly, 6th house. 6th house is the house of fighting. So if the lord of 12th, let's say, is in the 6th house, the planet of losses is in the house of fighting. So the thing is, if 3rd, 6th, 8th, if 12th lord is in one of these houses, you are either the need to take initiative. Of course, it can also mean you don't have any initiative, you lack initiative in gaining some money, in making some profits. That is also possible. But it is also possible that you don't have to actually... Third house basically shows some kind of desire. It is a seed of desire. I want something, basically, that initiative. That is not there. Which means you are getting enough money, enough profits already, so you don't have to basically struggle for it. Similarly, 6th house, 12th lord in the 6th is similarly 6th house shows fighting spirit. You don't, 12th lord in 6th can also mean you don't have the fighting spirit, but it can also mean you don't need to fight. So from that point of view, 12th lord being in the 3rd or 6th or 8th is basically a Viparit Rajoga. So there can be some setbacks, but eventually it will be good. Okay, next verse is राज्ये से धनभावस्थे धनवान् गुणसंयुतः राजमाञ्जो वदाञ्जस्य पित्रादिसुखसंयुतः राज्ये से धनभावस्थे. If the 10th lord is in the 2nd house, धनवान्, he has wealth, गुणसंयुतः, he is endowed with good qualities, he is a virtuous, he is a good person. Rajamanjo, he is respected by kings. Vadanjasya, Vadanjasya means he has the giving nature. Pitradi Sukhasamjataha, he is accompanied by happiness from father, etc. So paternal happiness, etc. will be there. Now let's start each of them. Rajya says Dhanavastha, if the 10th lord is in the 2nd house, Dhanavan, why is he wealthy? Straightforward. From the 2nd house of wealth, the 9th lord of protection is in Lagna itself, so brilliant. So this person is actually quite wealthy. Compared to the last chart, this is even better. He is very wealthy. Guna Samjutaha. He has good qualities. Why does he have good qualities? We are not talking about dharma here. When you say guna, virtues, we may be talking about Lagna, we may be talking about 5th house, we may be talking about 9th house. Here, with respect to the 9th house, you have the 2nd lord in the 6th house, not really that great. We are not talking about dharma, somebody who has a very good sense of dharma, dharmik, etc. That's not what we are talking about. What are we talking about then? Tell me. So, what kind of gunasamyuta are we talking about here? Why will he have some good virtues in this case? Why will he have good virtues? Where do you see virtues of a person? I mean, Lagna is your basic center. Apart from the 9th house of Dharma, Lagna is your basic personality, how you are. So the 10th lord, 10th is basically the house of harmony in the society. That lord is having Agra on the Lagna. So basically you conduct yourself in such a way that you command respect in the society. So basically this is more than somebody who has good judgment or somebody who is intelligent, somebody who is dharmic, etc. What we are talking about, somebody who is well behaved in the society, somebody who has good manners, somebody who knows the way of the society. So that kind of persona, that kind of charm will be there in his basic personality. That's what you are talking about here. It can be said to earlier also. He is in Lagna itself. Here he is in the Lagna, he is having Agra on Lagna. But here, more importantly, not only is he having Agra on Lagna, but he is in the 2nd house of speech. So basically when it comes to speech, he talks smoothly, and basically he talks in such a way that his status in the society, his honor in the society is maintained. So he's basically honorable in his conduct and in his speech in the society. So these are basically people who are people who have good manners, etc. Rajamanyaha. Rajamanyaha means respected by kings. Why is he respected by kings? Well, 10th house is the house of respect and honor, and the Lord is in a trine from it. Taking 10th house as Lagna, the Lord of the house of Mana is in trine from it, 5th house of Purvapundya. So there is excellent Purvapundya with respect to 10th house of honor. So he is honored by powerful people. Vadanjastya, why is he charitable? Why is he a giver?
From 12th house is inside.
Pardon me? Okay.
12th house is
From the 12th house of giving, right? This planet is Lord of one Kamatrikona, positioned in another Kamatrikona, right? From any house basically, if one Kamatrikona Lord is in another Kamatrikona, it is very auspicious. From that house basically, he wants to give fulfillment of 12th house, and he is in the house of initiative. So he can give some initiative so that it gets fulfilled. What gets fulfilled? Not a positive thing, a negative thing, 12th house, giving. So basically, he can very easily give. If he wants to give something, he will not look back. He will basically have a lot of initiative in giving. Second house is the initiative in giving. So no wonder he is a very, he is a good giver. He is a charitable person. Pitradi Sukha Samjadaha. He is happy with respect to father, etc. Why? Why is he happy with respect to father?
that's what I could understand. From 9th house actually is second lord in 8th actually.
Yeah. Second lord in 8th? What are you talking about?
9th house.
He is the second lord in 6th.
Sorry, second lord is 6th.
Right. I mean, you were thinking of one Dusthana in your mind. It got changed to another Dusthana. You are counting anti-clockwise. You probably took some example chart and you were counting.
Even though after so many years, typical, even I am finding English for visualization.
Okay. Okay. It will come. Okay. So, why is he happy with respect to father? I mean, in general, the relation with father, etc., do you think it will be, is it saying that relation with father will be good, etc.? Not really. It's not really talking about that kind of thing, right? So, with respect to the 9th house, he is the second lord in 6th house. Of course, 6th house from 9th house shows father's struggle. It doesn't necessarily mean the person has a bad relation with father, right? So, what do we make of it?
Does his father give him more? He gets something from his father?
Why?
It is because father has to work more towards him.
Okay, let us do one thing. Let us just say, let us take the second house, because it's not just father, it says Pitradi Sukha Samjitaha. Basically, he is not specifically talking about father, etc. happiness. So, he is talking about general family happiness, maybe not necessarily father, mother, brother, sisters. In general, family is a happy family. Is that what he is talking about by Pitradi?
Yeah,
Because specifically for father, we are unable to say anything concrete. So, without basically compromising, we can't say something concrete. But with respect to family happiness, how is his family happiness? Which house do you see family happiness from? Second house of family, right? That house is occupied by the 9th lord family. So, excellent. 9th lord in Lagna is a brilliant combination. So, he is very blessed with respect to familial happiness, family happiness. So, he is basically happy with respect to family. So, that could be with respect to father also. Especially from the second house, we are talking about the 9th lord. 9th is father. So, it could mean paternal figures in the family. Fatherly figures in the family, elder persons in the family, they take good care of family. That is possible. But in general, taking the 9th house as Lagna, you can only say what will happen to father. You can't say how the father's relation will be. So we are not talking about somebody who is attached to father or whose father is attached to the person or somebody who has a close relation to father. That's not what we are talking about. In general, he has a family where the relations are very excellent between everybody, not just father and son, but also between mother and son, between uncles and son, everybody basically. The extended family is very smooth. The next verse 111, I think. Yeah, 111 is कर्मेशे सहजे जातो भ्रातृभृत्य सुखान्वितः विक्रमी गुणसम्पन्नः वाग्मी सत्यरतो नरः कर्मेशे सहजे जातः. Karmeshe, the tenth lord, is in the third house, a person born like that. Bhratya sukhanvitaha. He is endowed with happiness from brothers and servants. Vikrami, he is brave. Gunasampannaha. He is virtuous. He has good virtues. Again, Vagmi, he is eloquent. He is articulate. Satyarataha, he is truthful. Naraha, person. Okay. Karmeshe sahajadata. Okay. Bhratya vritya sukhanvitaha. Why is he happy with brothers? Yeah. So a quadrant lord basically, the 10th lord, who shows the honor of the person in the society, etc. All good things basically he shows. He is in the third house of siblings. So basically, this is not just somebody who is attached to brothers or attached to sisters, but what we are talking about is his work and honor in society has something to do with siblings. So maybe somebody who is in business along with siblings, or somebody who has who engages in various activities in the society along with his siblings. Brothers and co basically. XYZ, brothers and co. That kind of happiness from brothers are we talking about here. And of course, as far as the 6th house is concerned, the Bhritchas, servants are from 6th house. From 6th house it is quite straightforward. The 5th lord is in the 10th house. One trine lord is in another trine lord. So basically, he is very lucky with respect to the work done by his servants. Work because 10th lord, 10th house from 6th. Vikrami, why is he brave? Well, the 10th lord of the work done by the person and the honor gained by the person in the society is in the third house of initiative. So the thing is, he has to, this doesn't necessarily mean somebody who is brave and bold, because from the third house is Lagna, 8th lord is in Lagna. So it shows, 8th lord in Lagna shows sudden ups and downs. So with respect to the initiative and bravery, it shows sudden ups and downs. It's not really a very positive combination, but a positive result is possible. That is what Parasara is saying, which is the 10th lord, whose job it is to give some good work to this person, make him accomplish that and get some honor in the society, respect in the society. That planet being in the third house of initiative, he has to somehow get him started and give initiative so that finally he will accomplish something. So he may have to struggle, but he will manage the courage to do things. He is goal oriented basically. His initiative is not like I have to do this. It's not like that. It is that needs to be done. So let me. It's basically not like, it's more than desire. It's basically the sense of I need to do this. That needs to be done. The sense is driving his initiative. The next one is Gunasampanna. He is virtuous. Why is he virtuous? What kind of good qualities are we talking about here? Well, the 10th lord is aspecting 9th house. That is linking the karma with dharma. So in all his activities, he has a sense of dharma. Earlier I talked about not sense of dharma but something else. Basic good manners in the society, very smooth and suave person. That's what I said in the second house. Then also we had Gunasampannaha. Not Gunasampanna, something like that. Gunavan or Gunasamjutaha. So I interpreted that as somebody who's suave, who's smooth in talking and whose basic personality is very smooth. So a suave, charming personality. But here we are talking about 10th lord aspecting the 9th house. So we are actually talking about somebody who has a good sense of dharma in his conduct in the society. So he is a dharmic person. From that point of view, he has good character. So that's what we mean by Gunasampannaha here. Vagni, he is eloquent and articulate. He knows how to express himself. Why? Third house is of speech. Third house of communication, right? So third house of communication has the 10th lord of honor in the society. So he knows how to communicate. Moreover, taking the second house of speech as Lagna, this planet is 9th lord. The 9th lord of protection and bhagya with respect to the second house of speech is in third house of communications. Moreover, third house is bhavad bhavam for the second house. The house of communications is the bhavad bhavam for the house of speech. So from that point of view, he basically, and also he has Argala in the second house. So this planet of honor is in the house of communications and having Argala in the house of speech. And his agenda with respect to speech is excellent. He wants to give him excellent speech. He is fortunate with respect to his speaking ability. So he is an excellent communicator, very articulate. Yes, 9th house aspect he can be truthful. Oh, you are jumping to the next one? Okay, that's right. Right. Satyarataha. Satyarataha means he is truthful. Why? Because like he said, the 9th house is aspected by this planet in the house of communication. The planet who is having Argala in the second house, who is the 9th lord from the second house. Another thing is, so 9th house is the house of Dharma. So earlier we said actually, Gunasampannaha we said means somebody who has a good sense of Dharma, and also that comes in his speech. So he is basically has a sense of truth. He has a spirit of truth. He is a truthful person. The next verse, 112, is Karmeshe Sukhabhavasthe Karmeshe Sukhabhavasthe Sukhi Matrahito Naratah. Sorry. Karmeshe Sukhabhavasthe Sukhi Matrahite Ratah Yana Bhumi Guhadhisho Gunavan Dhanavanapi. If the Karmeshe Sukhabhavasthe, if the template is in the 4th house, the house of comforts, Sukhi, he is comfortable, happy, peaceful. So Matrahite Rataha, he is engaged in or interested in Matrahita, means well-being of mother. Yana means vehicle or conveyance. Bhumi, lands. Griha, houses. Adhishaha, owner. So he owns vehicles, conveyances, land, and also houses, built houses. Gunavan, again he is also virtuous. So everybody, Templar, wherever he is, maybe there will be some bad houses, but wherever he is making the person virtuous. Good prediction. Wealthy, and he is rich. Okay, let us pass each of them. If the Templar is in the 4th house, why is he happy? Well, 4th house has a quadrant lord. The 10th lord is in 4th house, affecting the 10th house. So 4th house is basically good. So he is basically happy. Matrahite Rataha. Why is he interested in mother's well-being? Well, 10th house is the house of karma. The planet's agenda is what I need to do. What is the job that I need to do? What do I need to accomplish? So the focus is on the accomplishments. And the planet is in the 4th house of mother. And of course, also vehicle, etc. So the focus of his work is either on the mother or on the vehicles or on the lands or real estate or houses. So he is interested in the mother, he is interested in doing things for the mother and making sure that mother is fine, or he is putting all his efforts into dealing with lands, dealing with houses, dealing with vehicles, etc. So he is Matrahite Rataha as well as Yana Bhumi Grahadishaha. The next one, Gunavan. He is also virtuous. Everybody is virtuous these days. What kind of virtue are we talking about here? What could be the exact meaning? What is justifiable? So based on what can be justified, let us give a meaning. What kind of qualities are we talking about here?
Good direction,
Can it be, are we talking about dharma? Not really. From the dharma, he is in the 8th house. So he is not really a very dharmic person.
the virtue of learning, self-learning.
Learning, okay, somebody who is learned, who is interested in learning, but this is similar to the second house. he has Argala on the Lagna. Just as second house has Argala on Lagna, right? Now also there is Argala on Lagna. So Lagna is your basic personality and your basic qualities, how you come across, how you conduct yourself. And 10th house is the house of honor and respect in the society. So that planet whose agenda is society, the respect in the society and honor in the society, he is having Argala on Lagna. He is having a driving Argala on Lagna. So the thing is, the way he conducts himself, the way he behaves basically, which is shown by Lagna, is in such a way that it will enrich his honor in the society. So somebody who is very suave, who's a socialite basically. So that kind of, so he is endowed with good qualities from that point of view. Good qualities which are respected in the social circles. He knows how to hold a wine glass. He knows how to walk, how to talk. Basically, that kind of person we are talking about here. That kind of good qualities. Then what else is left? Then Dhanavanapi. He is also wealthy. Now, why is this person wealthy? Why this person is wealthy? Well, from the second house of wealth, the ninth lord is affecting ninth house. Excellent. So he is very, very wealthy. Moreover, being in the fourth house, his wealth, he is not only very wealthy, accumulates lot of money, but also buys lot of cars, lot of houses, lot of land with it. Very rich person. The next one, Karmeshe Sutabhavasthe, Sarva Vidya Samanvitaha, Sarvada Hasta Samyukto, Dhanavan Putravanapi. It is written as Harsha, but actually it is Harsha. Ha is written as Harsha. Karmesha is the 10th lord, is in Sutabhavasthe. If he is in the 5th house, Sarva Vidya Samanvitaha. He is endowed with all knowledge, all kind of education, all knowledge. Sarvada Harsha Samyukto. He is always happy. Dhanavan, he is wealthy. Putravanapi. He has children too. Okay. If the 10th lord is in the 5th house, why is he endowed with all kinds of learning? Well, forget the 4th house, 5th house, scholarship. So, the planet, a quadrant lord is in a trine. So, it's basically very good. And 5th house is the house of scholarship. So, he is an excellent scholar. Not only that, being the 10th lord, his agenda is to have honor in the society. So, he is not only learned, very scholarly, but the scholarship will be used to build his respect in the society, So he is very scholar. He is a good scholar. Sarvada Harsha Samyuktaha. Why is he always cheerful, always happy? Well, 5th house of emotional stability, 5th house of emotions, and also having Agla and Lagna. So that planets in the 5th house can give good emotional stability. So again, a quadrant lord blessing the 10th house basically will give him good emotional balance. He is very balanced and he is always very optimistic. Now, Dhanavan Putravanapi. Why is he? Putravan is very easy. A quadrant lord is again in the 5th house of children. So he has good children. Again, there is a link with the 10th house. The 10th house of karma is linked to the 5th house of children. So that means, again, like you said earlier, so-and-so brothers and co. This is basically so-and-so sons and co kind of thing basically. His children are helpful to him in his work. They probably come to his line of work, or even otherwise they will be helpful in his work. That is basically what we can surmise. But that is easy. Putravanapi is easy. His house is blessed by the presence of 10th lord. But what about the Dhanavan? Why is he wealthy? Pardon me? Well, he has Argala, 10th lord has Argala in the 2nd house. That is one reason. What else? From the 2nd house of wealth, 9th lord is in 4th house. Any time you find a quadrant lord in a trine or trine lord in a quadrant, it is good. So from that point of view, the 9th lord being in the 4th house from the 2nd house, he will bless that. So he is lucky with respect to the wealth. So he is a wealthy person. Moreover, from the 2nd house of wealth, he is the 4th lord of real estate. So he may have lot of wealth in terms of real estate also. You can conclude that there may be real estate, even though that's not mentioned in this, because also there is Arpada on the 4th house from Lagna. And moreover, this is the 4th house from 2nd house. So anyway, irrespective of it, he is basically wealthy. There is no question.
With respect to 10th lord being in all the places, what I am observing is all his actions are going toward that particular houses.
Yes, actions are with respect to that house. Here the actions are with respect to children, with respect to scholarship, with respect to emotional stability, etc. The next verse. Karme sheripu bhavasthe pitra saukya vivajyataha chaturopi dhanairhinaha chatrubhi paripiditaha. Karme sheripu bhavasthe. If the 10th lord is in the 6th house, in the house of enemies, pitra saukya vivajyataha. He has no happiness from father. Chaturopi. Even though he is Chaturaha means he is very clever. Even though he is clever, Dhanair hinaha. He is not that wealthy. Shatrubhi paripiditaha. He is troubled by enemies. Okay. What do we make of this? If the 10th lord is in 6th house, no happiness from father. Why father? What does father have to do with this? The 10th lord is in 6th house, why problem with father? How do you see it? How do you see relation with father? How do you see the interactions of the person with father? Otherwise, instead of saying relation, let me say interacting with father. 7th from 9th, or 9th from 7th. 7th is in general relations, 9th from there is relations interacting with father. So the interactions one has with father is from the 3rd house. Also it is the 7th house from father. That's the outgoing nature of the father with respect to this person. So 3rd house is an important house to see the relations with father. For me? Yeah, this is basically, this planet is in the 4th house of Sukha, but he owns the 8th house. The 8th lord is in the 4th house. The 8th lord of disturbance is in the 4th house of Sukha. So his happiness on account of relations with father, interactions with father is not that good. It has big setbacks. So he is not happy with, so his interactions with father are uncomfortable basically. That's what we can conclude. Chatruopi, even though he is clever, first of all, why is he clever? Why on earth is he clever? How do you see cleverness from? What kind of cleverness are we talking about here?
Clever means escaping, in dealing with his enemies. 6th house is related to. He is acting in such a way that he always tries to win over, or at least in that way he is always planning ahead. And
6th house is how you overcome your obstacles. So from the 6th house, the 5th lord is there. The 5th is the house of skill. 6th is the house of talent. So the 5th lord is in the house. So in dealing with the obstacles, he has some talent. But the problem is, he is saying Dhanarihina, we will come to that later. But Shatrubhi Paripirita, he says he is clever in dealing, but still he is troubled by enemies, which is not surprising because the planet is in the 6th house of enemies, so he has to deal with enemies, but he knows how to. But on account of his work, he has to deal with enemies. Now, he has to put all the work that he is putting in, most of it is going towards fighting. So that is the unfortunate thing. But still he knows how to fight. He keeps fighting. Now the thing is, why is he Dhanair Henaha? He is saying not wealthy. He is devoid of wealth. Yeah. So from the 2nd house of wealth, we are talking about the 9th lord in the 5th house. This is actually, 9th lord in quadrant is good, but even 9th lord in 5th is not bad is quite good. So we don't really see why. I mean, we would have actually guessed he is wealthy. So in a case where it seems like there is no problem for wealth, by saying that there is a problem with wealth, basically what Parasha is saying is he may be wealthy, but it is also possible to be not so wealthy in this combination. So there is a negative side of this combination that he is talking about. Of course, there is a positive side, as we have already seen, but there is a negative side which can also, in the presence of other conducive factors, it can actually make him not so rich. Why? What is the negative side of this? Why can he not be not so rich? The 10th lord in the 6th house.
Actually, it should be Viparit Raja, the 12th lord from 11th house of gain.
Oh, okay.
You got a lot of gains.
Yeah. So it's not, we're not talking about 11th house then. So what are we talking about?
Because he's aspect in 12th house.
For me? Yeah, he's actually in 12th house, so. Okay, so the thing is he has to fight a lot, and also this planet basically who owns the 9th house from 2nd house, who gives fortune with respect to wealth, he is affecting the 12th house of losing. So he may be losing some money, he may be fighting with people to get what he wants to do, but why does it make him devoid of wealth? How can he be devoid of wealth? Does it make any sense? Do you see any negative comment? The only thing we can say is he will be fighting. He has to fight a lot. But can we say that he has no money? Especially from the 2nd house. We know 2nd house as the house of money. So from the 2nd house, and as you said, basically even from the 11th house, this planet is, even though he is in the 8th house, he is the 12th lord. So it's not bad. So do we see any negative combination that makes us justify this Dhanayirhina? Not really. Even I can't basically. Quite honestly, that expression Dhanayirhina doesn't make that much sense. There is something wrong there. It may be some other word basically missing. Instead of Dhanai, maybe it is something else. Maybe Chaturobhi. I don't want to guess, but the thing is, there is something amiss there. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. In general, if the 10th lord is in the 6th house, you would expect him to be a fighter, have a lot of litigation, etc. But you wouldn't really expect him to be a pauper. Of course, if you have a lot of fights to fight, that can impact your wealth. But still, as far as wealth is concerned, I mean, in the absence of other factors, it is basically good for the 2nd house. If there are other bad things going on with respect to the 2nd house, then you are in soup. But otherwise, it's not bad. So something is amiss. I don't know if the bottom line is there can be some mistakes in the rest of the PHF that we are reading. So with that, I will end this session. Let me just turn on the monitor projector. Okay, data.
What is coming new in 70?
Not much. First I read the data.
October 1, 1970.
October 1, 1970, 1:20 p.m. Yeah. Place. October 1, 1970, 13:20. That is 1:20 p.m. Place. Newsvid. N-U-Z-V-I-D. Newsvid. Newsvid otherwise. N-U-Z-V-I-D. Newsvid. India. Okay. How should I save it? Sridevi. Okay. One second. Living in US for 12 years. Okay.
He is now going back to India.
Okay.
He wants him to see there and whether he can settle there.
Wants to know if she can settle down. Okay. So this lady has been living in US for more than 12 years now, and they are thinking of going back to India. Is there any time frame they have in mind?
They are leaving there tomorrow.
Oh, day after tomorrow. What is today? June 1. Okay. So they are leaving day after tomorrow, and they want to know whether they can settle down in India, whether whether they stay in India will work out fine, or whether they will be forced to come back soon. Is that basically what they are nervous about? So they are a bit nervous. Kids education, are the kids in school? Okay. Kids school, etc. So nervous and tense. Okay. So she is going back to India, but kids are in school, and she is not sure if they will be able to manage well in India or not, having been here for a long time.
Because now she is going to getting involved with in-laws.
I see. So in-laws involvement. Okay. So she will have to deal with in-laws, etc. She is a little nervous going back to India, and she wants to know how things will be. Now let us see what is going on with the chart. What is going on? The Lagna is Sagittarius, right? Lagna is Sagittarius, and Moon is in Virgo. Moon is in Hasta fourth quarter. Now, are there any special dashas applicable? Lagna is not in Virgotma, 10th Lord is not in 10th, Lagna Lord is not in 7th, 7th Lord is not in Lagna. So basically this is a regular Vinchotri case. So go to Vinchotri Dasha. What Dasha is running? She is running Jupiter Dasha. She is in Jupiter Mars right now. Right? Jupiter Mars Dasha. Now, is Jupiter Mars Dasha a good Dasha? And moreover, more importantly, next Saturn Dasha is going to come. In a few years, Saturn Dasha is going to come. So let us see how will be Saturn Dasha and how is the current Dasha. Now, why is she going back to India in Jupiter Dasha? Having lived here for a long time, why is she going back? Is the Dasha right now conducive to going back to India? If you look at the Chaturthamsha, right, which planets show going back to motherland? First and fifth houses, right? Whereas 9th and 12th houses are abroad. So here, Jupiter, Dasha is running. Jupiter is in the fifth house with the fifth lord, right? And from Jupiter, Mars is in the fifth house. So Jupiter Dasha, Mars Antardasha is going on, and she is going back to India in this Antardasha. So that is actually quite reasonable. Now let us see. However, Mars is the 8th lord. Pardon me? Yes, Jupiter Mercury is possible too. Jupiter Mercury could have given it. Jupiter Mercury is definitely a candidate. But the thing is, from Jupiter, Mercury is also the 9th lord. But it is a candidate. So Jupiter Mars is a candidate, that we can say. Now she is going in this period. But if Mars Antardasha in general a good Antardasha, well, from Lagna in Chaturthamsha, Mars is the 8th lord, afflicting Lagna lord. There is a Duryoga. From Jupiter, Mars is a malefic. He is the Bharata lord, 11th lord. So the thing is, he has some problems. It will not be smooth. He gives disturbances, changes, ups and downs. Now, forgetting Chaturthamsha, because her concern is not just will I find a good house, will my house be good there. She is in general concerned about life. So let us go to Rashi itself. So how is Jupiter Mars? Jupiter Dasha is in general a good Dasha. He is the Lagna Lord in the 11th house. Even though he is in an inimical sign, he is affected by Mandi, Gulika, etc. In general, Jupiter Dasha is a favorable Dasha. But how about Mars Antardasha? Is it a favorable Antardasha or is it a troublesome Antardasha? It's a good Antardasha. Mars in general, even though there is Ketu affliction, Mars is the 5th Lord with the 10th Lord Mercury. So there is a Raj Yoga between them in the 9th house of fortune. So Mars is in general a good planet. There is no problem with Mars. Right? So in general during Jupiter Mars Antardasha we don't expect any big problems. But how about the next Antardasha of Rahu? Jupiter Rahu. The last Antardasha in Jupiter Dasha. How will be that Antardasha? Well, forgetting Jupiter, Rahu by himself is the 3rd Lord in 3rd. So he is fine. And from Jupiter also, even though he is an enemy of Jupiter, he is in a trine. So it's not that bad. So Jupiter Mars and Jupiter Rahu will be quite good. How about Saturn Dasha? Actually, before we do that, let's go to Navamsha. In the Navamsha, because Rashi may be fine, her health may be fine, etc., but she may be quarreling with husband on account of in-laws. There may be some differences with the in-laws, and she and her husband may be fighting all the time. So let us see how things are with respect to marital relationship. Jupiter is the 5th Lord in the 4th house. He is fine. He is not complicated. Mars is the Lagna Lord in Lagna. So he doesn't really show big problems in the marriage or fights, etc. Right? He is also the 6th Lord, but he is Lagna Lord in Lagna. And from Jupiter, he is a quadrant Lord in quadrant, 10th Lord in 10th. It's not that bad. We don't see like 6th house or 8th house suddenly being activated like we see in so many other charts where we saw divorces, fights, quarrels, etc. So basic marital bliss, there is no setback to it. So this move, this current period is unlikely to disturb her marital happiness. And in general, Raki is fine. So things seem to be fine. But how about children? Oh, actually, let's go to children, and then let's go to Rahu Antardasha. So let's focus on Jupiter Mars still and look at children. How many children does she have? Do you know? 2 children. Boy or girl? Both boys. She has 2 boys. Let's see if Saptans Lagna is accurate. 51 seconds earlier it will change. Okay, God. So it may or may not be accurate, right? See, Rashi and Navamsha, it was in the it was not very close to the border. Navamsha, it is basically like one degree basically from the border. But Saptamsha, it is on the border. So let us see whether children make sense. If this is the right Lagna, the first child will be from? Tell me. Libra. The second child will be from? Sagittarius. The child from Libra, will it be a boy or a girl? Boy. Exalted Venus, Pisces is boy, exalted is boy, Rahu is boy. So all the way, all the 3 factors show a boy. So first child is a boy. Second child, Jupiter. Jupiter is debilitated. There can be a girl. Capricorn, there can be a girl. But exalted Mars is there. There can be a boy.
First child is from
Libra. The Lord of Libra.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So second child could be a girl. There is debilitated Jupiter in Capricorn. Even though there is a Mars there, this could be a girl. Moreover, is there a break after 2 children? Could there be a third child? Because it has to overcome, right? But who overcome what? It has to overcome Jupiter. Right. Yeah, but we were in Sagittarius. So third child is also indicated. So the thing is, it's a little dicey. It may be right, but we are not sure. Let us change it. Go to the previous sign. So for that I am changing the time from 120 to 1:19:08. Okay, 1 hour 19 minutes 8 seconds. So let me just save it, and also let me save the comment. 1:20 p.m. given time. 55 based on T7. 2 boys. Okay, that's it. Okay, if this is the one, the first child will be from Capricorn. Capricorn Lord is Saturn, he is in Libra. Libra is boy, he is exalted boy. Right? Now second child, Mars. Now Mars is in Capricorn, but he is exalted, and there is Jupiter with him. Forget Jupiter's debilitation. The planet who he is with shows a boy, and the planet, the Lord he is exalted, that shows a boy, and Capricorn shows a girl. So two indicators showing a boy and one indicator showing a girl. So this is more like it. Mars basically giving a boy. So and Saturn also earlier we said is a boy. So two boys make sense. And the third child has to be Ketu is there. So it is possible to have a break there. So only having two children makes some sense. So probably this is the one. This is the correct chart. So let us take this and then let us. Moreover, the other factor is if Gemini was the Lagna, Mercury and Saturn being in trines in Saptamsa, having two children is actually, even though we did all the counting, it is not really having the two Uranus planets, Mercury and Saturn in trines, with no other planets being in trines. There is a chance that she will not even have children. So Mercury, Gemini Lagna didn't really add up that well. So it's probably Taurus Lagna. So time is wrong by at least 52 seconds. So now let us see how children's fortune is right now. So Jupiter Dasha, how is it for the first child? First child is Saturn, right? Jupiter is a 6th lord debilitated. So that is fine. 6th lord debilitation is good, but health can be a little problematic, but not too bad. Now how is Mars Santat Dasha? Okay. So okay. Very good. So first child's health, with respect to the health, there is some problem because this Dasha running Jupiter is basically that of the 6th lord. But the thing is, Mars Santat Dasha particularly is not bad. Mars is the 7th lord, exalted. It's not really that bad. 2007?
Like last year it was bad.
I see. Last year was bad. Why was Moon bad? Well, Moon is in Bhadrasthana, and also from Jupiter he is in the 8th house. But that is a generic thing. From Dasha Lord, Antardasha Lord being in 8th house in Saptamsa means some problem with respect to children, not necessarily this child. The mother went through some problem on account of children. To be specific with respect to this child, just take the Lagna. Moon is in Bhadrasthana. So there is some potential problem. And the second child, if you see, Lagna is Capricorn itself. So from that child, Jupiter is the 3rd and 12th lord in Lagna. Nothing really standing out. Nothing special. Nothing particularly bad or particularly good. And exalted Mars in Lagna is not at all bad. So Mars Santat Dasha, I don't see any problem. The next Santat Dasha of Rahu is good for both of them. He is in the 3rd for one second child and in the 6th house for one first child. So for both children, Rahu Santat Dasha is a good Santat Dasha. How is Saturn? First child, Saturn Dasha is very good for the first child because he is the 4th and 5th lord in Lagna. So first child will have an excellent time in the Saturn Santat Dasha. His studies will be very good. He will do very well. What about second child? Lagna lord and second lord in the 10th house exalted. So forgetting the current Antardasha of Rahu, Mars, the next Antardasha of Rahu is very good for both of them. And moreover, even compared to the Jupiter Dasha is not that good for either of them, right? But the Saturn Dasha is good for both of them. They will both do very well from 2012 to 2031. So they may take a little time, but I don't see any major problems even in the next few years. But they will do quite well in education, etc. So I don't see any worry with respect to the children. Children will do well in India or wherever they are basically in the next few years. Children, there are no red flags standing out basically with respect to children, right? So I won't say children will find it difficult to adjust there and not do well. Children will be fine. With in-laws also, Navamsha seems fine. So with in-laws also things will probably be fine. So I don't really see any major problem. So it will probably work out quite nicely. So good luck to her. Yeah. Yeah, there is 7.5 years of Saturn, right? 7.5 years of Saturn, yeah. Yes, there is a problematic transit giving some tension, etc. It can also give a lot of changes, etc. But the thing is, the planet that he is transiting on, Saturn is transiting on Mercury Mars, he is transiting on Mercury Mars. He will come close to Mercury Mars position soon, or maybe he is already there. I don't remember. Because Mercury and Mars are in the 24-26 degree range, and Saturn is still at 21 degrees. So he is going to come close to Mercury and Mars positions, right? If you go here, there are Mercury and Mars. Mercury is at 27 degrees, Mars is at 24.5 degrees. So Saturn is going to approach their natal positions. And usually Saturn's transit on any planet can make some changes with respect to that planet. But the thing is, those planets are not bad planets. Mercury is the 10th lord and Mars is the 5th lord. So they are giving a Raj Yoga. It's not like he's transiting over some negative combination in the horoscope showing accident or something. So the thing is, his transit over Ketu is already over. Saturn's transit over Ketu can be problematic, but that is already over. Saturn is at 7, Ketu is at 7 degrees. So, and moreover, Saturn is not particularly a bad planet for her. He's the 2nd and 3rd lord. He's a malefic, but not that bad, and he's in the 5th house. So he's not a really terrible planet for her. Moreover, he has Viprit Raj Yoga. I mean, he has Nijabhanga. So Saturn is not a very bad planet for her. So actually his transit on the Raj Yoga in the natal chart may actually cause Raj Yoga rather than, or kick off the Raj Yoga rather than give any setbacks. Only thing is, from the mind, from moon, the Saturn is in 8th house natally. He is in the 8th house from moon, and right now he is transiting in the 12th house. So he was in one Dusthana earlier, he is in another Dusthana right now. So there will be some mental tension. So she will be nervous, all this nervousness, anxiety makes sense, but she will do quite fine. There is nothing really, no danger flags. And if you want to just cross check the short term, because we focused on the long term. In general, long term things feel fine. But if we have to focus on the short term, what is the Tithi Pravesh? Oh, battery is gone. Oops. Almost there. It will soon shut down itself. I see the flashing battery symbol. How is the annual Tithi Pravesh chart? The Dasha running right now is Rahu. Rahu is in the 5th house. See, I told you earlier that 5th house shows going back to the native country. So anyway, how is the current year? Lagna has so many planets, Sun, Moon and Mercury. But exalted Mercury is there, Lagna Lord. But the problem is 12th Lord Sun is there. So there is a big change, etc. One second, let me. Rahu, what is the Dasha running right now? Rahu Dasha. Rahu is in the 8th house in the Chaturthamsa. So there is some instability with respect to the residence, etc. during this period. But let us see how is the next year. Because very soon, once she goes there, finds a school, finds a house, etc., this year will pass. So the next year will come very soon. Let's look at the next year's Tithi Pravesh chart. Next year's Tithi Pravesh chart, who's the Hora Lord? Jupiter. Jupiter is the Hora Lord, oh gosh. So in Lagna there is a Gurchandala Yoga. Very close, not very close, very good. So Jupiter and Rahu are at the other ends of Ketuka. So there is a Gurchandala Yoga in Lagna, that is not that good. And he is the Lagna Lord, he is the Hora Lord. So that is not auspicious. But at least Jupiter has Nijabhanga. He is retrograde. And moreover, Mars is in the 6th house, that is very good. And the 9th house has a good combination. The 7th Lord, the 9th Lord, the Lagna Lord are there. Sun is the problem. Sun is also there. So that is a problem, 8th Lord Sun. But otherwise, my computer is wrong. I should charge it next time. Okay, before I come. So the next year's Tithi Pravesh chart is not really that bad. There are some negative combinations, but it looks okay. How is the year after that, 2010 Tithi Pravesh chart? Okay. Okay, very good. How is the next year's Tithi Pravesh chart? Yeah. Yes. Yes. It is not at all a good combination. One second. Let me change this and throw this up on the screen. It doesn't come. Correct it. let's just forget it. So you can come here. Okay. So 2010 chart. I'm just curious how the 2010 chart is. In the 2010 chart, the ruler of the year is Venus. Venus is the 10th lord in the 10th house. So Venus is quite strong. Even though Mars is very close to him, they also happen to be 4th and 5th lords.
We are looking at Rashi, right?
Rashi.
Right. Okay.
2010 is the previous chart. So and the Lagna Lord is again in the 9th house with the 9th Lord and the 7th Lord. Right? So that is good. Only problem is Sun, the 8th Lord is there. So there is some problem with Sun, but otherwise the Lagna Lord is basically well placed. But like we said earlier, the Gurchandal Yoga in Lagna, it shows basically, Jupiter shows the intelligence of the person. So the intelligence of the person is under stress from Rahu. So the mind doesn't work very calmly. So there is a lot of tension, anxiety, worries, etc. are possible when Gurchandal Yoga is on Lagna. But the good thing is they are at the other ends of Capricorn. One is at 3 degrees, the other is at 24 degrees. So there is a 21 degrees gap between Jupiter and Rahu. So it's not that bad. But the thing is, compared to this year, the next year, 2010, 2011 seems even better. So overall, own house. So even though we call it Mankarkasthana, third lord in third is not all bad. There is no name for it, like 6th lord in 6, 8th lord in 8, 12th lord in 8, 12, the Sarala, Harsha, Sarala and Vimala. There is no name, but it is similar to Harsha Yoga. So this is not at all bad. So Jupiter is fine. Rahu is not that good, but if Ketu has to be good, Rahu has to be bad. I mean, Ketu is in the 6th house. Ketu is quite well placed. So Ketu, Jupiter is well placed, Venus is well placed, Mars is not bad, Moon, Mercury and Saturn are giving nice Raj Yoga. Only problem there is Sun. So basically, especially you can see this, Saturn and Mercury are extremely close. They are like within half a degree, within like 20 arc minutes, right? Saturn and Mercury. One is at 14 degrees 27 minutes, the other at 14 degrees 39 minutes, right? So the closeness of the Lagna Lord with the 9th Lord, that to exalted 9th Lord, they are good friends in 9th house. It is excellent. So this is a very good combination. So she will be fortunate. She will do quite well. I don't see anything to be really concerned about. Her move back to India will work out nicely. That is my conclusion.
Some reason I saw that they may come back in next year, that is 2010.
Yeah.
So when I look at the chart.
Okay, let us see if there is a chance of, we only focused on whether there is a possibility of happiness, but we didn't really look at whether it is possible for her to come back. If you look at the Antardashas in Jupiter Dasha, is there a possibility of coming back? See, the thing is,
You are going back natal.
natal chart. If you go back to the natal chart, in the Chaturthamsha, Jupiter is the 5th lord. Jupiter is in the 5th house with the 5th lord. He's not really, even though he's also Badhaga Lord, the 7th Lord, he is in the 5th house with the 5th Lord. And most of his dasha is over now. So towards the end of his dasha, he is basically giving trip back to his own house. So the thing is, he is going to give the results of his associations with Saturn, etc. So it is very unlikely that she will come back. But let us look at the Antardashas. What is the Antardasha running right now? The Antardasha running right now is Mars, but you are expecting her to come back in the Rahu Antardasha. How is Rahu? From Jupiter, Rahu is in the 2nd house, in the Chaturthamsha. And from Jupiter, and from Lagna, Rahu is in the 6th house. And in the natal Rashi chart, from Jupiter, Rahu is in the 5th house. We don't really, and he is in the 3rd house from Lagna. We don't really see any strong combinations showing that he will, in Jupiter Antardasha, Rahu Antardasha, he will be coming back. So my feeling is, she may actually go back and settle down there rather than come back. Things will probably work out fine. Any other? Why is that off? Okay, anyway. I think today is the day of everything turning off by itself. I see, yeah. I think this is loose probably. No, if it's loose, it can't work. It probably became loose. Or maybe maybe something is wrong with this also. I've never seen it. Oh, you know what? Because we didn't connect. Basically power off is here. Screen saver. Standby. Yeah. Now I understand. You don't give it anything, it goes into standby. Okay. So, do you want to add any thoughts? Any prayers for her in general? Well, Saturn Dasha is going to come soon. She is running Jupiter Dasha now, but Saturn Dasha is going to come soon. And how is Saturn in her chart? He is not bad. He is okay. But he can give some mental tension, being in the 8th house from Moon. Being in the 8th house from Moon, she is running 7.5 years of Saturn, and Saturn is in the 8th house. In general, in her chart, from Moon, Lagna is fine, but from Moon, the 8th and 12th are heavily populated. The 12th house has Mercury, Mars and Ketu, the 8th house has Saturn. So she is somebody who is in general very, her mind is very unstable, very tense mind. And particularly now with Saturn transiting in the 12th from Moon. So the thing is, she needs something to relieve her from the mental tension. So what can we suggest her? What will be a good prayer for her to do? Any suggestions? And Saturn is Atmakarka, by the way. Atmakarka Dasha is going to come. So any suggestions? Okay, who is Ishtadevata? Saturn is Atmakarka. In the Navamsha, the 12th from Atmakarka has Lagna and Mars. Mars in Moon sign. So it is clearly Mars, Subramanya or Hanuman. Right? And the thing is, if you place to Hanuman, Hanuman can give relief from Saturn and Taurus also. Saturn can be controlled by Hanuman. So from the point of view of Ishtadevata, as well as from the point of view of the transit right now, the 7.5 years of Saturn, and in general Saturn problems. In general she has Saturn problems. Saturn is in the 8th from Moon, like I said. And also Mars and Ketu are in the 12th from Moon. That is also not a good combination. Moreover, Saturn is in Martian sign. So there is a lot of Martian influence on the negative combinations. If you look at all the negative combinations in her chart with respect to Moon, all of them have a Martian link. Whether it's Saturn in 8 or Mars and Ketu in 12, there is a Mars link. So Mars is a very vital planet for her to propitiate. Moreover, Mars is the 5th lord of devotion, etc. So 5th lord is, it is a very good idea to pray to Mars. And if you look at the D20, in D20, actually we can't be sure of the D20 log. How can we be? We already rectified, right? We didn't. We didn't. 51 seconds. Yeah. So it is still on a border. Did we change the time here? No. Yeah, we changed. So it needs another 52 seconds. Okay. So it could be. So let's forget the Vinshamsa. But at least on the account of Navamsa Rashi, Mars is a very crucial planet. Even in Vinshamsa he is active with Rahu, Ketu, etc. He is in one sign. I don't know which house it is. It could be 4th or 5th. But he is basically an important planet. So Hanuman is a very good suggestion for her. If she can pray to Hanuman. Pray to her. Start reading Hanuman Chalisa or something like that. Get used to Hanuman Chalisa. Read Hanuman Chalisa every Tuesday or every Saturday. Actually, every Saturday will be better. We are trying mainly Saturn problems. So, or every Saturday and Tuesday. But if only one day, I would suggest Saturday rather than Tuesday. She can read Hanuman Chalisa. It will give her some relief from the mental tension. Otherwise, she basically has a good life but tense. That is the bottom line. So, good luck to her. All the best. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts? Before your battery is also down?
Yes. I'm just trying to see how
Or anything that you saw before, you can tell us.
No, I mean, I have seen that. Like mine is previous Jagannath.
Okay, that's okay.
Why the dashas indicate that she might be bad. And I also looked at like Jupiter in the Chaturthamsha. 4th lord is 5th and he is not well placed, right, in terms of...
4th lord and 5th doesn't show going abroad. 4th lord and 5th actually shows coming back to the own place. But the Badhaka Lord, that is the problem. Jupiter is also Badhaka Lord. Badhaka Lord can show going away, going to a faraway country. That is possible. But my thing is, Rahu is not really showing, even though he is Karaka for foreign residence.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's the only thing. He is not really showing going back abroad. That is why I am not sure if he will come back to US. The chance is low. Any other points?
For in-laws, I saw for 7th house, 4th law.
To see specifically mother-in-law, etc., you can do that. But the thing is, if there is any tension you see in the Navamsha, we have the Antardasha of the Lagna Lord in Lagna going. So basically, the marriage is fine.
But Mars is opposite to marriage, right? Like
Yeah, but still he is the Lagna Lord, so he can't break the marriage, or he can't give big quarrels in the marriage. So
and there are two nodes, Mars and Venus. There are
two what?
Venus in the 7th house and Mars is like Venus is
In the Navamsha?
Yeah, Navamsha. 7th lord is 7 and Mars is in Lagna.
Right.
So I thought Mars will have like negative effect.
Well, what you say is not completely untrue. The thing is, Venus and Mars aspecting each other, they are not happy. They are not friends. But the thing is, Venus is strong, 7th lord is strong, the Lagna lord is strong, both are strong. So it's not really terrible. We have seen many combinations where the 7th lord is in the 6th. In the same combination, let us say Venus was in Aries with Mars. So 7th lord is in the 6th in Mankarkasthana with 6th lord Mars. That would have been terrible. They would be fighting. Here, it's not like the husband is shown by Venus in Taurus. The person is shown by Mars in Scorpio. So it's not like there is a perfect love, perfect understanding. There is some tension, but the thing is, still both are happy. So this is yes. Let's say in this combination. That would have been, well, he would also be Lagna Lord. Lagna Lord is 7th house. He would also be Lagna Lord in Mankarkasthana. That would have been weekend. That would have been worse. 6th house matters. It is tough to say because you can't say just based on the Mankarkasthana. So forget the Mankarkasthana. The 6th lord afflicting the 7th lord in the 7th house is not good. Forgetting Venus, 6th lord in 7th itself is not good for marriage. And that too, if 7th lord is also there, 6th lord in 7th house, afflicting 7th lord would have been very bad. Moreover, they are enemies, natural enemies. So 6th lord with a natural enemy in the 7th house, afflicting 7th lord. It would be very, very bad. But here, they are aspecting each other with an uncomfortable aspect, but they are all happy. She is happy in her position, he is happy in his position. There is some tension between them, but both are happy. So this is much better than the other two combinations. But the worst would have been Mars in Aries and Venus also in Aries. That would have been the worst. Or both being in Gemini or something like that. Now at least the 6th and 8th are not involved. So that is the good thing. Okay, so any other comments? So good luck to her. It will hopefully work out fine. Instead of going with a negative thinking, will I come back? Let her go with the intention of settling down there, and there is a very good chance that she will settle down there, and there is no need to be worried about children. Children will do quite well. Okay, so all the best to your friend. With that I will end up class.